Everybody, today we are just going to have some art journal play. I am open to experimenting and just having fun. And along the way, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks and give you lots of different ideas. So let's get started. So this page actually has some gesso resist on it. I took a stencil, the leafy vine stencil, and stenciled through it with gesso on raw paper. And that's been dry and it's been sitting in my studio for weeks and weeks. So I'm going to use it up and move myself forward. And at this point, I don't have any idea about where this page is going. No decisions have been made other than I want to use this up and get it off my desk. So here I'm using this reflection stamp. I believe it's a Tim Holtz one. This one has numbers on it. I just want to add some fine scale markings on this. Now, when I've done the Gesso resist, where you stencil with gesso through a stencil, I've always applied the color here first before I add any of the details. So I'm kind of doing it a little bit different, but I'm experimenting. When I play, I want to experiment. So now I'm grabbing orange, a yellow, cadmium yellow, and deep violet. I do end up grabbing cadmium red as well, and I am going to put that on wet on top of this in order to get the gesso resist pattern. So this is my color scheme. These colors, if you want to use this, they work so well together. They always give bright, beautiful colors. And again, I want to play. I didn't want to overthink it. I just wanted to have fun. So I'm starting with the yellow. Now, because the paper was raw, it's soaking into the paper and it's not staying on top. And I want this to stay wet on wet. So I do end up wetting my makeup sponge a little bit to make it easier for me to blend. One thing, if you haven't watched my videos, one thing I like to share with you is when I make a mistake, I'm going to tell you that mistake and how to correct it. None of us are perfect art journalers. We all make mistakes, which make it maybe more difficult to do the page, but never impossible. There's always a workaround. So you can see where that stenciling with gesso, you can see it, but we are going to bring that up. And because when the paint goes on the gesso part, it doesn't absorb into it. It stays on the top and you can remove it. Now here I'm just mixing the paint, wet on wet. I'm using the various colors. I know they're not going to make mud because I've used them before, but if you're not sure, do a test off to the side, and then you're not going to make that mistake. And I'm just adding the color, getting a lot of variation here. I'm just inspired by the fall colors. Now I know I'm going to do gesso resist here. I'm going to wipe back the paint that's on top of the stenciled pattern. So I'm grabbing a baby wipe and I'm just rubbing it off. And you can see some of it's coming off relatively easy, but I'm realizing my mistake here. I did the entire page and some of the paint has dried a little more than I want. If it stays wet, you have it easier to get the paint off. So for ease, do it in sections. Maybe if I had put paint on a quarter of this 11 by 14 page or 9 by 11 page, or half of it at a time. And then I would have been able to get it off a whole lot easier, a whole lot quicker. So if you want to make sure you get it all in the gesso resist, do it in sections. Now here's a workaround. If you put rubbing alcohol on your rag or on your baby wipe, that will help you remove the paint more successfully or quicker. So either do it in sections or plan on using rubbing alcohol. Now, I'm not getting a perfect removal of the paint. Some areas I'm taking more back to getting more white. Some I'm happy leaving them tinted a color. I just want that variation in the background. So I'm very okay with it being less than perfect. But if it mattered to you and you wanted to remove all the paint or the majority of the paint, then A, do it faster, and B, use rubbing alcohol. So you can see how some of those areas I'm taking back almost to the white of the gesso. But this is making a lovely pattern on my background, and I'm liking the stamping that I did. Some of that stamping is on top of the gessoed area, but because I had let it dry, I'm not removing it with the baby wipe now. So that would be the only thing that maybe you'd have to consider. Some of that stamping might end up getting rubbed off when you're doing this step. Lots of times when I'm setting out to play or to experiment and I don't have everything figured out, I make mistakes. And that's okay. So there's a sneak peek of the background right now. I love those fall colors and that texture that's coming through and the pattern. Add some more. So this is shelf liner. Dollar Tree shelf liner. I'm putting black acrylic paint and I'm just going to add some black contrast and pattern to my background. Remember, each of these is just a layer, and art journaling, mixed media is all about building interesting layers, building contrast. And this black, when you put the black on there, it just really makes those brights stand out all the more. So I'm just putting it on with a makeup sponge, black acrylic paint, nothing fancy, and just building those interesting layers. Now, again, at this point in time, I have no focal image in my mind. I don't know where this is going. I'm just having fun. And that's okay. You don't have to have every step figured out before you start. I've been kind of going through inspiration block, artist block. And so to release that, I just wanted to have fun, take the pressure off. I figure, okay, you know what? If it doesn't work, it's paper and ink or paper and paint, doesn't matter. So there it's coming along, loving the look. Dry it. Then I grab this dragonfly stamp and I'm using here the deep violet. Now, deep violet is a more translucent paint. So it's not, you're not getting a lot, especially in some of the areas. You're not going to see it because you can still see the darker colors below it. But again, this is simply one layer. At some point here, I change and I start using, there we go, the cadmium red, which is a more opaque paint. You're going to get more coverage, and these dragonflies are going to show up more. I just put the dragonflies. I like the leafy vines, the color of autumn. Um, Again, one more layer of interest to my background. I'm also, when I play, I'm just grabbing things that are within arm's reach. Loving the look of this. It just makes me happy, which is why we should be art journaling, because it makes you happy. So again, these colors, you got cadmium yellow, cadmium red, orange, and deep violet. So again, on my desk, I had this girl cut off, and I thought, okay, she works here. And then I was looking for something else. I was going to cut off the flowers and put like sunflowers in her hair. But I came across this fanciful, put the name in the description box. And then I thought, I stencil here. And that's one of the advantages. When you set your mind to experiment, to play, you're open to new possibilities, trying new things. Now, here I was going to stencil this with black, and then I thought, no, why don't I do modeling paste? So I grabbed the Crafters Workshop modeling paste, and I'm going to apply that through this fanciful Swirl? Stencil? The name will be in the description box. Getting the placement. Fanciful Fern. There we go. Got the name. Now, I've used this stencil before because I see paint on it, but I've come up with a couple ways of using it now and on my art journal pages. So it's not going back in the storage place. I'm going to keep this on my desk and you're going to see me using it again. So I'm thinking, oh, that's kind of like a feather in her hair. I'm putting the modeling paste on. I put it on a key card. I find that's the easiest, best way. And I love the TCW modeling paste. I've used it. It's easy to apply, dries fairly quickly. I have a lot of success with it. Loving the contrast of the white against that colorful background. And I've added the swirl to the hair. And if one's good, two is even better. So I give that a little bit of a quick dry just so it's not wet because I'm going to put the stencil over top of it. And I'm going to add another swoop of it on the page to build up my focal image and to add to the focal image. I just want to get the placement just right. And then again with the key card and the modeling paste. You can use stencil butters if you have stencil butters. Thickened gesso would also go through that. Oh, I love how that looks. So I'm going to give this a dry. And I'm thinking about this sentiment. This is my Moments and Memories sentiment pack. They are available as a digital download from NINNYSNAPKINS.com. So I'm picking the one. Today's moments are tomorrow's memories, but I'm not using it as it's presented. I'm going to cut it apart so it fits the composition of the page that I'm using it on. I'm just kind of thinking, what do I want? So I'm getting rid of some of the white because I don't want the bulkiness of the white. And that's a me thing. If you're okay with it, that's fine. And on different spreads, it may work better. And then when it's script, I tend to bubble cut around it, just leaving a very white border around the script. So I'm just bubble cutting that around it. And I'll be doing the same with the second part of the sentiment as well. But you don't need to watch me cut out everything. There we go. And I'm still playing with the composition. I think I like what's done. Then I see this focal image sitting there, and I could put the big flower there, and that would look really good with that fanciful fern stencil. Another option for another day. But let's go back to the girl. I still like her the best for this page. And this was, I'm not sure if I got it on some coloring page or where I sourced it from. Sorry. Before I glue her down, I want to add some gold to the background. So I've got a gold paint there and a lid from some paint container. And I'm just using this as a mark making tool to add bling. All our mark makers don't have to be purchase things. Use things that are around the home to make marks. The more I art journal, the more I gravitate to using those things. They're easy, they're inexpensive, and they give a great effect. The gold with those colors in the background works so well. Just add that little bit of bling. I'm just kind of putting that girl there because I want some underneath her. I don't want it to just come up to her because it looks more cohesive, if that's the right word, when it's kind of overlapped or some is slightly behind. So after I put this on, I do take time to dry it because it's fairly thick paint in some places and takes a minute. I have the gold paint there, so I'm just watering it down and I'm just going to add some gold splatters as well instead of wasting the gold paint. Now I realize another opportunity if I could turn it this way and have that fanciful fern stencil coming out from the top of her head. And I really like that look too. So again, explore those options, play with it. Maybe you're not going to choose to do it on the page you're doing, but now you have an idea for another spread. People ask me, where do you get your ideas? Well, I play with the orientation. I experiment, and then you can even keep a book and write those things down. Here I've got some my fluid matte medium and I'm gluing that girl down. She's just printed on um, inexpensive copy paper, gluing it underneath and on top to make it a non-porous surface. Now I'm grabbing some black acrylic paint, my angle brush, and I'm shading around the outside edge. This frames my page. It's something I do, I'm going to say 100% of the time. It just finishes it off. Then I'm going to continue and shade around the girl and add some highlights. Now, the whole time that I chose that girl, I wasn't sure if I was going to paint her hair and her face or not. And I choose not to, but I do add like the shading around it. This is making that girl stand out a little bit more. And then I do some shading on the face of the girl and in the hair of the girl. So it's not like I'm painting it solidly, but I do add to it and I get an effect I really, really love in the end. So this is how you can take just a simple coloring page off a coloring um, website and make it fit your art journal page. So here I've decided to just put some shading in those flowers, the rings of the flowers, and I am not being precious here. I'm not being careful. I don't care if I get every rung. I just want, basically, it's a wash of gray tone. I love the face of this girl, and I think I may use it again. I might cut off the hair and do add flowers from a calendar or stencil flowers on or do something with it. You just use the shape of the head. I really like just how it looks. Here I'm just painting out the lips and I'm getting that one of the colors that's in the background. It's pink, but it's more a little bit coral in there. And then I'm putting some blue in her eyes. I was contemplating putting some of that blue deep aqua in the background, and I stopped myself because I go there quite often, and I just wanted this one to be a little bit different. One of the things when you're experimenting and you decide you're going to play and you're taking risks, I find that since you're not overthinking it, you're kind of going with the flow a little bit, the art journal page evolves much faster. You're not micromanaging it, you're not overthinking and analyzing. So I decided to get rid of the word are and just kind of shorten my saying. So today's moments, tomorrow's memories. And I have one across and it goes swoops to the other side. So your eyes kind of follow the sentiment and read, which is, I think, a good composition plan. Gluing that down with fluid matte medium and taking off the tape across the top. And there we have the finished page. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love this page, how it came together. It was an unexpected surprise. And the star, this fanciful fern stencil, like I said, it's going to stay on my desk and I'm going to use it again because I think it has a lot of possibilities. Here's some close-ups of the finished page. Give me a comment, subscribe to my channel, tell your friends if you find this tutorial useful. Until next time, go get creative.